The blizzard came without warning. It tore through the mountain valley like a white beast, swallowing trees, burying trails, turning day to night. In a small village nestled between the peaks, smoke rose from chimneys. Families gathered by fires. Children slept in warm beds. No one saw the mountain shifting above them. No one heard the snow beginning to crack. But someone did. Far above the village, in the frozen wilderness where nothing lived by choice, a lone wolf stood motionless on a ridge. His gray fur blended with the storm. His amber eyes pierced through the white chaos. And he saw what was coming. He had no name, no pack, no den to call home. The lone wolf had wandered these mountains for years, always alone, always moving. He hunted in silence, slept beneath trees, drank from frozen streams. Other wolves feared him because he was different. Humans feared him because he was a wolf. So he kept his distance from both. He learned the language of the wind, the warnings of the trees, the secrets the mountain whispered when no one else was listening. Tonight, the mountain was screaming. High above the village, on the northern slope, the snowpack was unstable. Days of heavy snowfall had built layers upon layers. The blizzard's wind was the final pressure. Cracks spiderwebbed through the snow. Deep groans echoed through the mountain. An avalanche was building, and directly in its path, the village. Wooden homes, families sleeping, children dreaming. They had no idea. The wolf stood at the edge of the ridge, watching the valley below. He could see the orange glow of windows through the storm. He could smell wood smoke carried on the wind. He had seen this village before, from a distance, always from a distance. He knew what lived there. Humans. Humans who would shoot him if they saw him. Humans who told stories about wolves like him, monsters in the dark. The wolf turned away. This was not his problem. He began to walk along the ridge, back into the wilderness, back into the safety of solitude. But then he stopped. The mountain groaned again, louder this time. The wolf's ears flicked back. He looked over his shoulder toward the village. In his mind, he could see what would happen. The snow would fall like a white wave. It would bury the homes. The fires would go out. The voices would stop. He had survived alone for so long because he made smart choices. He avoided danger. He protected himself. Going down there, toward humans, toward the avalanche, that was not smart. That was the opposite of survival. The wind howled. The wolf stood perfectly still, caught between two directions. Then, something shifted in his chest. Something older than fear, older than survival. He turned back toward the village, and he began to run. The wolf descended the mountain with impossible speed. His paws barely touched the snow. His body cut through the blizzard like a shadow. He ran toward the danger, not away from it. Above him, the avalanche was seconds from breaking. Below him, the village slept on, unaware. The wolf reached the outskirts of the village and stopped at the edge of the tree line. He could see the homes now. Warm light glowing through frosted windows. Smoke curling up into the storm. He had never been this close before. His instinct screamed at him to flee, but he didn't. The wolf lifted his head toward the night sky, and he howled. It was not the howl of a predator. It was the howl of warning. Deep, mournful, piercing through the storm like a blade. The sound echoed across the valley, bouncing off the mountain. Inside the homes, people stirred. Dogs began to bark. A child woke, pressing her face to a frosted window. The wolf howled again, longer this time, more urgent. An old man stepped out onto his porch, lantern in hand. He squinted into the blizzard, searching for the source. More doors opened. Voices called out in confusion. What is that? A wolf. Why is it here? And then they heard it, the sound above the village. A deep, rumbling roar. The mountain was moving. Avalanche. The shout rippled through the village like lightning. People grabbed children, pulled on coats, ran into the streets. The church bell began to ring, the emergency signal. But there wasn't enough time. The avalanche had broken free. Thousands of tons of snow were racing down the mountainside, a white wall of destruction. The wolf watched the people scrambling, and he knew his warning wasn't enough. So he ran again. He sprinted toward the northern edge of the village, where the avalanche would hit first. There was a cluster of homes there, 3 families, children inside. The wolf ran past them, drawing closer to the avalanche's path. He reached an old shed at the village's edge, filled with tools and winter supplies. Without hesitation, the wolf threw his body against the structure. Once, twice, the wooden walls creaked. He hit it again, using all his strength. The shed collapsed inward with a crash, spilling barrels, crates, and timber into the snow. The debris formed a barrier, a chaotic pile, directly in the avalanche's path. The wolf stepped back, panting, his breath clouding in the freezing air. The avalanche hit. It slammed into the debris with a thunderous roar. The barrier didn't stop it, but it slowed it, redirected it, split the flow. The avalanche's main force veered to the east, missing the cluster of homes by mere meters. Snow crashed through the village's edge, burying fences and sheds, but the homes stood. The wave of white finally stopped, settling with a deep, final hiss. Silence fell over the valley, broken only by the wind and the ringing of the church bell. People emerged from their homes, shaking, staring at the wall of snow that had nearly killed them. The three families whose homes had been spared stood in their doorways, stunned. "We should be dead," a woman whispered. The avalanche changed direction. A man said, his voice trembling. "It split around us." They walked to the edge of the destruction, staring at the collapsed shed and the debris that had altered the avalanche's path. "What happened here?" someone asked. "The shed just collapsed." The old man with the lantern walked further, his eyes scanning the snow. Then he stopped. He crouched down, brushing snow away with his gloved hand. Paw prints, large, deliberate, leading to the shed, leading away from the village. "A wolf," he whispered. Others gathered around, staring at the tracks. "That's impossible. Wolves don't save people." "But look at the prints. Look at what happened." The old man stood slowly, his eyes following the trail into the forest. "Maybe this one did," he said quietly. Far up the mountain, beyond the tree line, the lone wolf walked through the blizzard. His fur was coated with snow. His legs were heavy with exhaustion. He didn't look back. He never looked back. The village below was safe. The avalanche had passed. The families would wake tomorrow and rebuild. They would tell stories about the night the mountain tried to kill them. Some would mention the wolf. Some would call it a legend. Others would call it impossible. But the wolf didn't care about stories. He didn't care about gratitude or recognition. He had made a choice, and he would make it again. The wolf climbed higher into the frozen wilderness, disappearing into the white. No name, no pack, no home, just the wind, the snow, and the quiet knowledge that somewhere below, children were safe in their bed. And that was enough. True courage is not found in those who seek the light, but in those who bring it, even when no one is watching. Have you ever had to give up everything just to survive?